Hello and welcome to BaylorPlus.com. Justin Hoff with you as we are joined by a special guest today, the one and only Bayley Humphrey from the Baylor Acrobatics and Tumbling team. Bayley, we have a lot to get to. Been wanting to do an exclusive interview with you for quite some time. Before we get to what you're doing now, let's talk about your athletic background. Growing up, did you play any sports? What did that look like?
I did. So I did artistic gymnastics for 10 years of my life, and that is the vault, the bars, the beam, and the floor. And I did that all the way up until my senior year of high school. And that's when I decided I basically was done with that sport. That chapter was closing, but I knew I didn't want to stop being an athlete, but I didn't really know what to do. And so I was talking to a friend, and she found acrobatic gymnastics, and I was like, you know what? I'll just go try it. So I watched her practice. I got to see people lift each other and do all these crazy things. And I was like, you know what? My senior year of high school, I just want to do something fun. And so I did that for a year. And then that's when I actually learned that you can do it at the collegiate level. And I was like, oh, well, this could be a fun opportunity to continue being an athlete in college. And so I reached out to Baylor and I went to their summer camps and I talked to Coach Fee, and she recruited me, and I've had the best 4 years of my life as a Baylor A&T athlete.
Pretty cool story. Okay, so let's jump into a little bit more. So in terms of strength, and you know this by looking at me, okay, it's been a while since I hit the weights, and I need a trainer like yourself to get me up to the right strength and condition. But in terms of muscle strength,
Mhm.
is that something that came natural to you? And when did you realize maybe, hey, I'm pretty strong?
Yeah, so I knew naturally I was pretty strong, but until I got to Baylor, I'd never lifted a weight in my life. Like I did not know how to weight lift. I didn't really know how to touch a dumbbell or anything. And then I got to Baylor and they taught me, and that's when I really got to see my strength come into play, not only lifting humans but in the weight room, which is really really cool because I got to push myself and I got to see actually how strong I am.
Okay, and of course, Bailey is a legendary Baylor a student athlete, and there's another one out there, Rico Gathers from several years ago, and he, much like your answer, the same, never lifted a weight until he got to Baylor.
Really?
But both of you guys on the men and women's side, two of the strongest athletes we ever had here. And of course, from Chandler, Arizona, so not a Texan native, but made the transition to Baylor and being a Texan for a few years there.
Wow.
So in terms of weights, got to ask some of the top numbers. So squats, bench presses, your maxes, where are they lining up? And I'm not going to tell the viewers and listeners where mine line up.
So for back squat, my max is 405, and then my bench press is 235.
235. Very impressive. Very impressive. So great strength. And hey, you're doing, not that you're doing maxes, but just practice day after day. And by the way, these practices you guys have, I've been at a couple throughout the years, but they're long practices. And so I mean that's a weight session in and of itself, especially with what you do as a base.
Yes, and we practiced a lot at Baylor, and we actually would have our like 3 hour practice, but then we would have like an hour and 15 weight session after. And so like yeah, those practices were really long, and but that's what made us strong is like yes, we practiced, but the weight room is what transferred over into practice. And that's why the weight sessions after practice were so crucial, because that is what built up our strength to be able to lift up the humans in practice.
Yeah, and that's part of it, right? Just any job, a lot of it is showing up, and certainly you can say the same about weight room. Just showing up and going in there. So, okay, so you talked about how you got to Baylor, your
Mhm.
prior experience. You get to Baylor, and what's it like when you get here? Do you instantly start, and are you the star, the success that we see? Last this past season, last couple seasons, right away.
Oh gosh, no, I came in as a freshman, kind of just like have no idea what's going on. I'm just going to trust the process. It was also during COVID, so that was an experience in itself. So my freshman year was definitely an interesting one, but honestly, I was just so grateful to be there, and I was just so excited to learn a sport I've never done before and to just learn, what life is like as a collegiate athlete.
Okay, and it wouldn't take long though. Eventually, you become the star that we know you as, and one of the keys though is your teammate,
Mhm.
your other side. And so Jordan Grundler, I guess, how did this start? She's a top, you're a base. How do you get teamed up with her?
Yeah, so her and I, we'd never talked before we got to Baylor, but we had seen each other at one competition and when we both did acrobatic gymnastics. And so when I heard she was coming into the Baylor team, I was actually really excited because I knew she came from the same background I did. And so one day, Coach Fee was like, "Hey, I want to put you guys together. Can you just come up with some acrobatic gymnastics thingies and we'll kind of just, see what happens?" And I was like, "Okay, sure." So Jordan and I were talking, again, we've never really spoken to each other. And I was like, "Hey, what do you like wanting to try?" She's like, "Let's try a one arm." And I was like, "Okay, I have never done that before in my life, but let's just try it." And then look what happened.
Yeah, really a match made in heaven. And so we're going to talk about tag team combinations and things like that later in the podcast here, but
Mhm.
definitely a dynamic duo. And so
Yeah.
you two together, I know, have just become so popular throughout the country. And so, yeah, it's pretty crazy. But yeah, so you start there, but
Mhm.
as each year has went on, you guys started to the difficulty level
Mhm.
rose. And even this past year, I mean, you were throwing her up in the air and catching her. I mean, it was kinda scary to watch, but,
It was scary to do.
yeah. So you guys do all that, but the thing that people don't know is you have to practice those things, and so I'm
Yep.
sure it doesn't go 100% at practice.
Oh, no, no, no. Yeah, no, so especially when you're first learning the skill, the boomerang, the back tuck, I throw her, she does back tuck, I recatch her. So that was a long process to learn because we had to learn it in the belt first, for safety purposes. And then you take it out of the belt, with mats and a bunch of spotters. And then when you get more consistent with that, you go down to like one spotter or two spotters. But there were many days at practice where it was not working. But again, it's perseverance, it's determination. Her and I are very stubborn with skills, and we're like, we're gonna do it no matter what. And so that's also part of our chemistry is we push each other. And so we're like, we're gonna get this, we want to push the sport even more, and so yeah, that skill, it was a fun one.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen something like that, and I'm not sure if I'll see it again, but yeah, it was, pretty impressive to watch, and, yeah, I'm sure as, for you guys practicing that must have been, pretty ridiculous. Now, you didn't do that at the nationals, right?
Mm-mm.
So just at what part of the season did you guys say, "Okay, we've had our fun, we tried this out, let's tone it down a little bit"?
Yeah, yeah. So I would say the beginning of the year is when like we throw out the bigger skills, right? Because we're still in the beginning of the season. We're kind of just again pushing the sport, kind of showing our dynamic. But then when we start heading into the nationals route, that's when we need to start tuning up and cleaning up and really thinking about what's the risk versus the reward. And so I would say toward the middle end of season is when we start, Coach Fee starts, strategizing. Okay, let's go down to the details here because this is where things are critical and nationals.
So your strength plus Jordan's flexibility, incredible pairing, and of course you guys a part of those national championships, many-time All-Americans. You win all those national championships, and you do it with Coach Fee. What was that experience like? Just winning every single year and kind of being that team that everyone despises and wants to lose, but you guys keep getting the W's.
And it's all because of our team culture. Every year, like it's a different team, right? It's not the same people that it was the year before. But Coach Fee does such a good job of building, and even, the girls, of just building an amazing culture to where, like, at the end of the day, like we have become so close that the trophy, doesn't matter. Because we're just so, in the moment and care about each other and know it's our last go around together. And I would say that's what, getting the W every year, like it's a feeling I can't describe, and it is a feeling I will chase for the rest of my life.
So after that fourth national championship there in
Mhm.
West Virginia, you lifted up Coach Fee.
Yep.
What was that like? Was she open to doing this? Was this scary as well? What was that experience?
So it was actually funny because at practice one day, I was thinking, I was like, "Dude, I want to lift Coach Feet in the air." Like, I don't know I don't know how I'm gonna do it. We're gonna figure it out. I was like, I'm a senior this year. Maybe she'll do it. So I was talking to her and I was like, "Hey, if we win again, can I lift you in the air? Can I do a one man with you, please? Like, if we win. She was like, okay, I'll let you do it. And sure enough, we won, and she got the trophy, and I got to lift her in the air. And that was fun.
Yeah, it was fun to watch, and once again, scary if you're.
Yes, I was like, you can't drop Coach V. You cannot drop Coach V. You can't drop. I was like nervous, but I was really excited.
But she is healthy and doing well. You know,
Yeah,
she got
killing
down.
it. Hey, you guys see her on the floor next year.
Yeah, I've told her that, you know, some of these viral videos, if she did it once, that would be unique. But I
Right?
gotta ask you about this too, and not everyone got to see this, but life after